she said, "We're completely unbiased. Give me a break, lady." I mean, they're crazy far left. So, I mean, I think we're past the age, really, where the government, first of all, why do we need to subsidize? Why can't we have outlets like this? And we're so polarized. These outlets became popular at a time when Republicans and Democrats didn't hate each other and weren't at each other's throats.
Bill Maher was forced to call out Jasmine Crockett over controversial remarks she made during her appearance on Real Time with Bill Maher, especially comments aimed at Greg Abbott and his disability. As the discussion moved to other issues, Maher continued pushing back against both Crockett and another guest after strongly disagreeing with their arguments. Now, let's get into the moment Bill Maher slammed Jasmine Crockett for what many viewers saw as outrageous claims.
I don't think of Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett calling Texas governor, okay, she's from Texas, the governor, Greg Abbott, who is paralyzed and uses a wheelchair. She called him Governor Hot Wheels. What do you think?
Congressperson Crockett is part of the new trend where informality is okay, where formality used to reign. Okay, fine. That's been going on since the 60s. So her routine is that she wants to bring a little bit of what I might quaintly call the ghetto catfight into these spaces. I get it, bring a blaxploitation movie or something into Congress. Great, working. But you do not make fun of the fact that somebody lives their life in a wheelchair. If she thinks that being black and fabulous gives her a pass on that, then she's got a really unfortunate sense of what black is.
Well, what do you think, Ricky?
I think this is just an example of when they go low, we go lower. And the Democratic Party is going to lose if they try to use kind of MAGA world tactics back at them. I think that if the Democrats want to succeed in the future, they need to be the party that is normal, that are stand-up people, that do not take the cheap shots back.
A world where Democrats suddenly become the moral side in every situation just is not realistic. What are we even talking about here? That has never been the case. Democrats often take the easier route and throw low shots whenever it benefits them. They always try to shift the conversation. People point to things like assassination attempts and say the suspects were registered Republicans. But the reality is that many attacks have targeted conservatives and right-wing figures, including the Republican president and other public voices on the right. These are also the same groups critics blame for riots, chaos, and the destruction seen during the so-called Summer of Love alongside Antifa protests. That is why many people believe the left will never suddenly start taking the high road. So with all that in mind, let's hear how Bill Maher responded to that controversial argument.
I don't know. I'm not that upset about it. I'm really not. You know why? Because I'm a big fan of Family Guy. And they have... Every week. And one of the characters, Joe the cop, is in a wheelchair. And every week there's 20 jokes about him being in a wheelchair. And nobody died. And I just think everybody has to, lighten up a little. Yeah, it's terrible to be in a wheelchair. But, it's not like it's news to him. I don't know.
I adore Family Guy. I've seen every episode. But that wasn't a cartoon. This is real life. And she was saying it with dismissive hostility as opposed to the cartoonish, we can get away with it because we're drawn. Jasmine Crockett is not drawn. And neither is Abbott. I see a distinction, although I see what you mean.
Okay, all right. The heads of NPR and PBS testified before Congress this week amid accusations of liberal bias. Should the government continue to send taxpayer dollars to public broadcasters? Well, a little background here. They've been after them the Republicans have wanted to get rid of PBS for as long as I can remember. This crowd will probably do it. I also read my namesake, Catherine Maher, was head of NPR, and she said, "We're completely unbiased. Give me a break, lady." I mean, they're crazy far left. So, I mean, I think we're past the age, really, where the government, first of all, why do we need to subsidize? Why can't we have outlets like this? And we're so polarized. These outlets became popular at a time when Republicans and Democrats didn't hate each other and weren't at each other's throats and didn't think each other was an existential threat. In that world, you can't have places like this, I think, anymore. They have to be private.
Yeah, I think Yuri Berliner, ex-NPR employer, his piece this week, where he said that they should just let go of the funding. I love NPR. I listen to NPR almost every day, have since 1975, when my parents used to play it in our Chevrolet Caprice when I was like 9 years old. I love it for its point of view, but since 2020, it has no longer been general. I remember in 2021, my then 9-year-old asked me, and of course she has no sense of context, I don't pump her full of things like this. She said from the back seat, in a very different car, she said, "Daddy, why is it that NPR is always playing the same thing?" And I said, "What do you mean the same thing?" And I swear she said, now she doesn't have a vocabulary, but she said, "It's always about how somebody can't do something." And that's what she was getting at, was that. I wouldn't have said that about the NPR that I knew back in the day, and I wouldn't have said it 10 years ago, but that is what it is now. I will listen to it daily, but it's no longer a general audience venue that just give up national funding. Yeah.
Okay.
These days, almost every media outlet feels heavily biased in one direction or another. Maybe I'm biased too, so let me know what you think in the comments. I could be wrong, but from my perspective, people on the left and media outlets supporting them seem to push misleading narratives far more often than those on the right. That does not automatically mean right-wing media is morally better, but it often feels like the left relies more on spin, because the facts alone may not always help their side. Even people who lean left, like Bill Maher, appear frustrated with modern left-wing media. He has criticized how negative and repetitive it has become, especially when covering conservatives and right-wing figures. According to him, it reaches the point where people around him, including younger viewers, constantly absorb that same negativity every day. At the end of the day, many critics believe it is less about morality and more about strategy. Media companies want attention, loyalty, and viewers, so they shape stories in ways that benefit their audience. Still, to many observers, left-leaning media appears far more dependent on exaggeration and selective narratives than media on the right.
There are more and more women giving up on marriage. Really, I swear to God, that's what it says. Why is that directed to you? Are you giving up on marriage? No, you're not.
No, I mean, I think so. I think there's a massive disconnect between the genders in my generation, and young men are going to the right, young women are going to the left. It's hard.
Yes, it sounds nice in theory, but in reality, it has become much harder. Many people feel young women are moving further left politically, with major focus placed on issues like abortion rights and social media culture. Meanwhile, a lot of men seem to want something simpler, building a stable life, getting married, and starting a family. But for many, that goal now feels more difficult to reach than ever before. Of course, good relationships still exist, and nobody wants to completely rule that out, but some believe those traditional values are becoming less common today. Critics argue that social media attention and modern dating culture have changed priorities, making serious relationships harder to maintain. Because of that, many men have become more hesitant about marriage and long-term commitment. In the end, these debates are exactly why discussions around politics, culture, and modern relationships continue to spark strong reactions online. Let us know what you think about Bill Maher criticizing Democrats and left-wing media, as well as his clash with Jasmine Crockett over comments about Greg Abbott.